Thank you, thank you. Good morning, good morning. Pleasure to be here with you all. Rachel sent me some talking points, but I'm going to speak from the heart because this event, that has been taking place for 22 years, is near and dear to me. 15 years ago, my life changed. I was arrested and charged with possession of a firearm and a whole host of other offenses. So my life changed at 21. But I was living a lifestyle that by 21, I reached my goal, which was to be alive. I was actively involved in various street activities, just trying to figure my way out in the community. And I made some poor decisions that resulted in that. But from that, I've learned a lot of life lessons. One of those lessons was I became a father while I was incarcerated. So my daughters they'll be 14 this coming Monday. And I lost my sister too while I was incarcerated. So I've some memorable things that have happened just while that 1 year while I was away. And again, this is all going to go back to why I walk, because the memory of those loved ones that have passed, we can never forget. We say rest in peace, but you're gone, but not forgotten. I believe the Mother's Day Peace Walk is an example of what that keeping that memory alive is about. 2 years after my release, it was difficult. You know, having a Corey, living life with a Corey, with offenses, trying to get gainfully employed, having twin daughters to raise. There's limited options for people. So I definitely am a strong advocate for the criminal justice reform that has been going on for clear reasons, right? So for 2 years, I struggled. I struggled with the opportunities for revenue. Unfortunately, the streets is always hiring. Full-time, part-time, seasonal, night shift, day shift. Trust me, I was a hard worker. But it was for a reason, right? I had to provide for my family. And without another option, I chose the one that was in front of me. And I got rearrested, right? 6 months, they say the recidivism rate, people go back. Well, I was part of that statistic. But during that time spent, I missed my daughter's first birthday. And also, Yorkie Lipscomb, who was like a cousin to me, died on my daughter's birthday that year. So I know a lot of people have seen his name when it was circulated when he passed in 2005. So I walked for him. In 2006, when I was hired by Chuck Turner, right before being hired, I was fired by an employer and then I trained the person that they ended up hiring. And it was because of my Corey. The day I got fired was a friend of mine who was involved in similar activities that I was involved in. It was his funeral that day. I chose to go to work because of the connection to that individual and the lifestyle that he lived, and got fired. So I left work confused, looking for which direction do I go. And I actually said a prayer that day. I said, God, if my life has purpose, prove it, or I'll see you soon. And it wasn't a Heavenly Father. No, it was real. I had children I had to go provide for, and I didn't want to make that call to the activities that I knew were available. Again, streets is always hiring. So I got a call to call Chuck Turner. Randomly while I'm walking, someone said, call Chuck Turner. I'm like, what does a politician can do for me right now? I don't even know what politics do. Never was a part of my circle of friends. And they said he advocated for people like me. And I was like, all right, well, we'll find out. And when I met him, I put $6,000 in front of him, the executive director of Strive Boston. And this is all in 2006. And I said, money's not my problem. How I get it is. If you can't provide me or show me a different direction, if I get in trouble, I'm going to say, I met Chuck Turner, I met this person, I met that person, and I had to do what I had to do. I ended up attending a program called Strive Boston where I learned about my attitude. My attitude, I had a defeated attitude. I was making excuses for everything. I used the Corey as the handicap. And when I changed my attitude, I changed my look at life. And I said, I've seen men that modeled the success that I thought I couldn't achieve in my own life, but they did in theirs. So they motivated me just by being an example. So I said, if they can do it, I can do it. And I went hard. I registered with over 200 staffing agencies. So I had plenty of job offers. And Streets wasn't the only people hiring, I found out. Chuck Turner offered me a job on his staff while he's seen this process. He said, can you be my director of constituent services? I was like, sure. What's a constituent? Never heard the word before in my life, right? But you say director, business card. I'm young and dumb, so I'm like, this might work for me, right? So He offered me an opportunity on his staff, and he said, "You'll learn about the work of constituent services. I'll give you that chance." I was like, "Thank you." Now, I didn't realize the job was to help people deal with problems that I was going through myself and connect them to resources, people, opportunities, right? And I used the office to create a new identity. So now I'm a decade plus doing public service work. And in that public service work, right? When I entered into this work, a hallmark issue of mine was the violence. I understood the violence. I understood the participants because I participated. I understood the individuals. And I wanted to do something now that I was in this position. I wanted to help out. So one of the first calls I got was from Andrew Keith's mother. He passed away on February 21st, 2007. He's a good friend of mine. We was locked up together. I understood the lifestyle that made it brought about that reality. And I wanted to help out. But it wasn't a fake type of help because I understood the activities that he was involved in. And unfortunately, cemetery or penitentiary is a reality if you choose the streets. And for those that participate, it has nothing to do with the way they were raised. It has to do with the streets having that type of pull over those individuals. So I got that call and I talked to that aunt and I said, I understood you're going through some grief right now. Who do I call? Louis D. Brown. They help families during this time. If you understand that phone call, you're all confused. You're all over the place. You need some help to guide you because you still got to bury your loved one with dignity and respect. So I pointed that family there. Then I get another call. Kwame Williams, June 19, 2008. His grandmother called and said, my son's involved in some things. He's not cooperating. He just was stabbed. And the police said they're not going to help him unless he says who committed the act. And he wasn't trying to do that. He was in the lifestyle. He ended up dying on his grandmother's porch 3 days later. That's another mother I got to go talk to. I got to try to just be there. But I know that mother did call the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute for that support as well. And she got the support she needed. 2009, worked with the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute on a homicide report I released 20 years later. Communities Uniting for Change. Remember that, Millie? Mm-hmm. We brought, again, families that have been affected by the violence. We brought about the youth that is the disproportionate people affected by the violence. And we brought about the folks, parents of those that lost their loved ones to incarceration. We said we got to get everybody in the room. Can't just be these silos conversation. It worked well for a little while, but due to lack of support, maybe because of the office I was in, who knows, though, the people that was involved, we didn't get the support that was needed behind a very clear, detailed 20-year homicide report that's for the city of Boston, which is online, so Google it. It's accessible. I own it, but you can use it. So I did that in 2009. In 2010, I ran for elected office with the platform of I want to address the violence. Let's talk about the violence. Let's talk about some innovative, creative approaches. I know what worked for me. It was I looked at individuals that got through it. They got to the graduating class. They outgrown those activities. How do we put those new messengers of peace? So it wasn't the ministers. I was like, let me go get these lifers, these guys in prison that says, hey, let me talk to my son. Let me talk to my nephew that's trying to live out my legacy. Wasn't supported as well, but it was supported by the community that was affected by the issue. But the system kind of, it works the way it works, unfortunately, sometimes. Ran for office, and I know I'm about to wrap this up, and I'm giving you this because I walk for a reason. I don't walk around with the pens because they're in my heart, these people. This is when I was asked to speak. I said, how do you prepare for a speech like this when you're thinking about the people that you've lost, the memories that you have? So I just wrote the names down and said, I know these memories like the back of my hand. A couple of years later, I've been doing well, working in labor, traveling the nation, do an annual toy drive for families affected by violence and incarceration. I'm going on my 10th year this year. Louis D. Brown has been a strong supporter. But unfortunately, in December 15, 2015, Eric Darrin died in my arms, randomly parked on a corner street. I hear the gunshots. I don't pay any mind. I pull up. He's dying right there in the car. I understood what it was like to be now on the scene of a homicide and what takes place and the lack of trauma support services that some people don't provide. A year later, 2 years later, 2015, sorry, that same year, June 5th, a mother of my organization, she asked me to reach out to her son and connect with her son when he was released from jail after 2 years to provide some hope. Just an example. I said, sure, why not? 6 months later, he died after his release. I never got to meet him. Had to help that mother bury that child. One of the hardest things to ever go through. But every one of these incidents, I reach out to the Louis D. Brown. I'm part of Team Cherry, if y'all didn't know. I'm not on payroll, but I'm part of Team Cherry. And then more recently, January 14th. Now, my birthday is January 17th. January 14th, Chad O'Connor, 17-year-old, killed in Common Square. His mother was on staff with me. 3 days before that, she asked me to connect to her son because she's seen him going in that direction. So the reason I walk, I think is very clear. But what I've been tasked to do is saying others need to stand up and put their money where their mouth is. I'm going to reach out to all the organizations and individuals that I have come in contact with this journey through the last 12 years of public service and say, hey, if you supported me, why don't you support the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute? Have you heard about what they do? Close your eyes for everybody for 1 second and just think about the time you got that call that a loved one was no longer here, whether from violence or just natural causes. That feeling is the reason we walk. And that's why I'm walking this year and going to continue to walk and support the Louis D. Brown. And I encourage everyone to reach out to anyone that they know to say, give $5, give $10. There's a goal of $400,000, and there's no reason in a city this rich that we can't meet that goal and exceed it. So, thank you all. Thank you so much.